Recently, there have been abnormal developments both inside and outside the CCP, triggering speculation from the outside world. On October 10th, former Naval Command Lieutenant Colonel Cheng broke the news that Zhang Youxia, the first vice chairman of the CCP Military Commission, was taking measures against senior Navy officials. Former political commissar Qin Shengxiang and current political commissar Yuan Huazhi are under investigation. Both were promoted by former Navy political commissar Miao Hua. This move is considered the first vice chairman of the CCP's military commission seeking to cause trouble for the former Navy political commissar. Not long ago, an Australian-Chinese scholar revealed on overseas social media that General Qin Shengxiang, the former director of the General Office of the CCP Military Commission, was reportedly taken away for investigation. Qin Shengxiang is a close confidant of Xi Jinping and served as director of the Reform Office of the Military Commission and political commissar of the Navy. Sources familiar with the Chinese military said the investigation of the above-mentioned personnel may indicate that Xi Jinping has lost control of the military. Independent producer Li Juan pointed out that Xi Jinping's prestige in the military has been affected after his handling of the CCP Rocket Force case. If senior officials of the Navy are involved this time, it may be more likely to indicate that Xi Jinping's military power is unstable. If Xi Jinping purges his cronies at this time, it will undoubtedly further weaken his prestige. Therefore, there may be some abnormality in the military. Although this news has not yet been officially confirmed by the CCP, similar rumors in the past, such as the dismissal of Rocket Army generals, were often confirmed after being revealed on the internet. There are also views that former senior naval officer Miao Hua was not completely excluded, but Xi Jinping distrusted him. A Chinese political commentator wrote that after corruption in the Chinese Communist Party's rocket force was exposed, another strategic support force was also disbanded due to corruption issues, indicating that Xi Jinping's military reform is facing failure. If the above-mentioned officials are investigated, it may attack Xi Jinping's authority again, especially after the investigation by equipment system personnel. The power of Zhang Youxia, the first vice chairman of the CCP Military Commission, is still stable, which makes some people in the People's Liberation Army dissatisfied with Zhang. Suppose Zhang takes action against the former senior Navy official this time. In that case, it indicates that Xi Jinping may be facing serious challenges in the military, and may even have lost control of some military power. Zhang Youxia, the first vice chairman of the CCP Military Commission, is not considered one of Xi Jinping's people. Since the third plenary session of the CPC Central Committee, a series of strange phenomena have occurred in Zhongnanhai, leading some Chinese commentators to believe that these signs may point to a coup initiated by Zhang Youxia and other high-level officials. Among them, in the past few months, Xi Jinping was reported to have suffered a stroke and was hospitalized. As a result, the national TV conference report could not use his live footage. Since then, senior officials close to Xi Jinping have stopped mentioning Xi Jinping frequently in their speeches, and even some propaganda slogans about Xi's personality cult have suddenly disappeared. At the same time, the party's propaganda style has also changed. The past propaganda surrounding Xi Jinping's personality cult has cooled down significantly. Topics such as two safeguards, the Chinese dream, and preparations for war are no longer prominent in the media. Instead, there are discussions on democratic centralism and grassroots democracy, which are extremely rare within the CCP. In the military field, Zhang Youxia's power has risen, and the military has made successive changes. Zhang Youxia regained power in the military, and his cronies dominated the chief officials of the 5 war zones, while Xi's generals were purged. For example, the former commander of the Southern War Zone and the commander of the Northern War Zone disappeared. At the same time, Zhang Youxia's allies continued to rise to power, indicating that he had gradually taken control of the army. Not only that, but the appearance and interaction between the reformist elders Wen Jiabao, Li Ruhuan, and Xi Jinping at the National Day reception of the Communist Party of China on September 30th were also interpreted by the outside world as a symbol of the elders regaining power. Wen Jiabao and Li Ruhuan not only stood beside Xi Jinping at the reception, but also left a deep impression on the outside world. Some believe this may signal that a high-level coup is underway and that Zhang Youxia's alliance with CCP elders has weakened Xi Jinping's power. They interpreted it this way. Xi Jinping is currently in an unprecedentedly difficult period. The economic situation is grim, and the CCP elders are putting pressure on him behind the scenes, making it difficult for him to rely on their support as he did in the past. To do this, Xi Jinping must appease and win over these veterans. China has now entered a stage where sudden change may occur, and the CCP is caught in a double crisis. One is Xi Jinping's leadership crisis, and the other is the CCP's rule crisis. Now, once Xi Jinping collapses, the entire Chinese Communist Party may collapse as well. On the surface, the CCP is still trying to maintain Xi Jinping's status, but in fact it has made some internal adjustments and hidden some substantive changes. The outside world has also noticed that on October 8, 2024, many official media and portal websites of the Communist Party of China published an article by Chunhua, Vice Chairman of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, entitled "Uphold the Overall Leadership of the Communist Party of China over the People's Political Consultative Conference." The article is divided into 5 parts. Each paragraph quotes the words General Secretary Xi Jinping emphasized, and then elaborates on how to understand and implement Xi Jinping's instructions. This report attracted widespread attention, especially around 3 intriguing points. First, Chunhua is only the vice chairman of the CPPCC National Committee, but the media highlights him in such a high-profile way as if he represents the CPPCC. This phenomena is unusual. The second point is that Chunhua was one of the successors trained by former General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Hu Jintao. The CCP had previously implemented a system of establishing successors across generations. That is to say, Hu Jintao is currently in office, has designated Chunhua as his successor. He is not the successor of Hu Jintao, but the successor of Xi Jinping. However, under high pressure from Xi after the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, Chunhua voluntarily resigned from his position as a member of the Politburo and chose a more low-key job in the CPPCC affairs. However, does Chunhua's high-profile appearance mean some change? The third point is that Chunhua quoted General Secretary Xi Jinping emphasized many times in the article, which is a public expression of loyalty to Xi Jinping. Such a high-profile statement makes people wonder why Chunhua chose to do this at this time. Some overseas Chinese commentators said that news recently came out of Beijing. During the 3rd plenary session of the CPC Central Committee, some party elders raised questions and demands about the succession system, calling for a clear future successor. This shows that some party members are dissatisfied with Xi Jinping's leadership style, especially the decision to abolish the succession system. Under the current situation, Chunhua is unlikely to be a successor, although he was once selected by Hu Jintao as a successor from another generation. However, any movements of Chunhua receive special attention. Du Wen, a Chinese legal scholar living in Europe, was once one of the Chinese bureaucrats. In his work, he came into indirect contact with Chunhua. He said that Chunhua believed that he was expected to take over, but his political career was limited by Xi Jinping's 3rd term. In the context of Xi Jinping's increasingly centralized trend, Chunhua believes that he still has hope of at least becoming a member of the Politburo Standing Committee, and may even serve as chairman of the CPPCC. Although Chunhua is currently marginalized, through his show of loyalty in public article, he shows that he is still unwilling to completely fade out of the political stage. Du Wen pointed out that after the 3rd plenary session of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, Xi Jinping may consider balancing different forces within the party and compromising on restoring the succession system to avoid a power vacuum in the future. At the same time, the external situation facing the CCP is becoming increasingly severe. In September this year, the People's Liberation Army successfully test-fired an intercontinental ballistic missile from Hainan Island, with a range covering the South Pacific, further arousing concerns in the international community. The Chinese Ministry of National Defense only briefly mentioned in the statement that the missile's dummy warhead fell into the predetermined sea area without disclosing its specific location. Media reports in French Polynesia said that the missile landed near the French Pacific Territory's exclusive economic zone, more than 11,000 kilometers from China's Hainan Island. Outsiders have also observed that the CCP's test launch was accompanied by the dispatch of 2 Chinese aircraft carriers, joint exercises between destroyers and Russian military and military aircraft activities in the Taiwan Strait, showing a tough stance against the US and its allies. However, the CCP's actual combat capabilities are still questioned. According to analysts, the test used an older model of the Dongfeng 31 intercontinental ballistic missile. Based on the missile flight route and launch pictures released by the Chinese Communist Party, the outside world speculates that the missile was launched from near Wenchang, Hainan province, and landed in the South Pacific waters close to Hawaii in the US. The rocket force unit involved in the missile launch may be the Sichuan E-Ben 621 Brigade, which is affiliated with the Rocket Force 62 base. The CCP Military Commission may choose Wenchang, Hainan as the launch location, mainly to reduce the risk of launch failure. If the missile is launched from Sichuan, the debris after the first stage rockets fall off may fall in China and may even cause an accident. When launched from Hainan, the missile's wreckage is more likely to fall into the ocean, avoiding threats to facilities or residential areas on land and reducing the risk of leakage of relevant failure information. This choice also reflects the CCP's Military Commission's lack of confidence in the missile's performance. Although the Chinese Ministry of National Defense claimed that the test effectively tested the performance of weapons and equipment and the level of troop training, the launch from Hainan rather than a direct test from the missile base was more like an experimental operation than a complete nuclear weapons procedure test. This shows that the actual combat capabilities of the Dongfang 31AG missile still need to be verified, and related military operations may be difficult to respond to complex situations effectively. In addition, on October 10th, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced sanctions on 3 U.S. military-industrial companies and 10 executives, apparently in response to the $567 million in military assistance the U.S. provided to Taiwan last month. The sanctions also cover 10 executives from 3 companies. These sanctions show that Beijing is not only demonstrating its military strength, but also taking tougher countermeasures at the diplomatic level to deal with the challenges posed by U.S.-Taiwan military cooperation. Recent missile tests and sanctions reflect China's strong reaction to the United States' stepped-up arms sales to Taiwan. Beijing has long warned the U.S. that any arms sales to Taiwan will have serious consequences, and this military aid touches the core interests of the Communist Party of China. Sanctions from the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs include freezing the property of these companies and individuals in China, prohibiting organizations and individuals in China from trading or cooperating with them, and prohibiting them from entering China, including Hong Kong and Macau. Since Xi Jinping came to power, the CCP stance on Taiwan has become increasingly tougher. Especially with the development of China's military power, the tone of military unification of Taiwan has continued to increase. The People's Liberation Army has also accelerated its efforts to strengthen military preparations against Taiwan, prompting Taiwan to seek more military defense support. As a result, the scale and frequency of U.S. arms sales to Taiwan have increased. After the Biden administration came to power, the U.S. sold nearly 20 arms to Taiwan, with a cumulative amount exceeding $1 billion, highlighting the U.S.'s concern for Taiwan's security.